he saw the spiritual beast of the Gaddafi family, the fiery phoenix of the 90th level. The guy decided that it was time for him to leave, since it was already an adult phoenix and it was better not to anger him while he was not tamed yet. But apparently now the beast was distracted by something. The guy felt the elemental energy of the elves. Is this weapon, lost hundreds of years ago, a blessing of the god of sorcery? The guy understood why no one had been able to find him all this time. Moreover, the token does not emit magi due to the fact that this thing completely absorbs it. It was really an outstanding magical animal. But unfortunately hundreds of years of imprisonment only angered him. So now was not the best time trying to get in touch with him, and to begin with it was necessary to find a way to get the blessing of the god of witchcraft. Clay picked up a pebble from the ground and threw it away in the direction of Phoenix. The bird heard the sound and flew towards him, while the guy flew towards the artifact. He pulled the cane out of the stone and it crumbled. At parting, the guy told the bird that he was taking this thing with him and now she owed him. He said goodbye to the phoenix and walked out of the token. He discovered that this fiery phoenix had become so active that even while inside the token, he managed to set it on fire. Clay decided it was better for the bird to stay there and cool off a bit. After that, the boy switched to the cane that was in his hands. This was the blessing of the god of sorcery. The boy thought that he had come to this world by pure chance and almost immediately found something that no one could find for hundreds of years. Unfortunately, the boy was not a magician, but an alchemist. But in any case, the fact that he managed to discover this artifact was an incredible success. Suddenly, the boy heard his name called and searched. The boy replied to his mother that he was behind the stone. The girl approached the boy and said that he had scared her very much. She also added that the closer they are to the imperial city, the more attentive they need to be. After that, the girl pointed to the body of the guys who were lying nearby and asked the boy if he had done this to them. Mom asked Clay if he knew who sent them. She asked the boy to tell her soon about who did it, and she would make them pay for it. The boy replied that it was not worth doing this, since they so shamelessly decided to attack him. The boy was sure that they had cleaned everything behind them in advance, so they would hardly be able to figure out who was behind it all. However, much more important was what the boy found, and he showed it to his mother. She was very surprised and immediately realized that this was the blessing of the god of sorcery. The girl asked the boy about how he managed it. The guy said it was all thanks to Senia. He said he told her to find her mom and started looking for the girl. The girl asked her son if he was talking about the girl who sent the message from him. Mom said that the girl is not very well. Some time later, Clay found himself in the girl's house. She was lying on the floor under the bed and howling. The boy could not understand what had happened, because she was all right. The girl ran up to her mom again, and it began to shake in order for you to wake up. The boy's mother said that her son promised to help this girl, so she followed her in order to cure her mother. But when they came, it was too late, because the girl's mother was already dead. She said she helped the girl bury her mom while she was hysterical, so she couldn't leave her there. The girl was lying on the floor and crying. She said that now she no longer has a family. Clay looked at the girl and thought that she looked very much like Scion, not only in appearance, but also in her behavior. The boy decided that he could not just leave the girl. Since he couldn't protect Scion, he should at least take care of the one who really needs him right now. Clay turned to his mom and said that he wanted the girl to stay at their house as a younger sister. The girl was delighted and said that it was a great idea because she had given birth to so many boys, but always dreamed of a little princess. However, it turns out that they could not give Senia their surname and enter it into their pedigree, since they are nobles and the royal family forbids it. In response, the guy said that Senia is the heir of the Gaddafi family, which has the same origin as their family, and this token is proof of that. The boy handed the token into the girl's hands and said that from now on he would not allow anyone to offend her. After that, the boy happily asked his mother to take the girl to Stormwind. He himself said that he would return to his grandmother, and as soon as he received the promised reward, he would immediately return home. Mom was surprised that her son wanted to return to the Elven Valley, since he was going to travel such a long way alone. However, in response to this, the boy said that his mother should not worry, since he has an artifact that will help him get there as soon as possible, and he will cope even faster than he and Senia will get to Stormwind. After that, the boy ran to his bear, jumped on it, and said that they needed to find a suitable place and open a portal to the Elven Valley. Pippi asked the boy if he had any spiritual pill, since creating a portal is a very energy-consuming business. In response to this, the boy said that as soon as he received his reward, he would feed the bear at least 500 pills so that he would never be hungry. The bear said they had an agreement. After that, they opened a portal to the Elven Valley and stepped into it. In the Elven Valley, the Empress was crying because she missed her beloved grandson. She said that no one cares about such an old poor woman like her. She was very sad that her grandson had left her. One of the courtiers told Her Majesty that young Mr. Clay had just returned to his homeland, and grandmother was talking about it as if he had died. In response to this, the woman said that the man could not understand her feelings. She had already begun to think that she needed to go with him and she could not understand what she had done wrong. Her precious grandson, whom she raised so diligently and taught everything she knows herself, left at the first opportunity. She said she just couldn't help but grieve. At that moment, a portal opened in the floor of the room. The courtiers and the queen were surprised. One of the men shouted about who dares to break into the palace so unscrupulously. At that moment, Pippi the bear appeared in the room with Clay. The boy happily shouted to his grandmother that he was back. The woman was very happy to see her grandson. She hugged him and said that she missed him very much and remembered him every minute. She asked the boy if he felt it through their mental connection. The woman assumed that he returned for this reason. However, in response to this, the boy said that he had just returned to give something away. Grandma asked him what he meant. In response to this, Clay said that he had found the blessing of the god of sorcery. The grandmother was very glad that her grandson managed to find the treasures that no one could find for hundreds of years. She asked the boy about how he managed it. The guy replied that it was just a lucky coincidence, but he asked if he could still claim the award. The boy said that he really wanted to keep this artifact for himself and literally tears it from his heart. In response to this, the grandmother said that the boy would certainly receive an award. She also added that the Empress of the Incarnate Elementals is extremely concerned that the moon well has dried up, so they need to go to the city of elemental elves as soon as possible, because the Empress will be very happy. After that, the grandmother and grandson approached the portal and found themselves on the spot. The Empress told her grandson that they were in the territory of the Incarnate Elementals, so it was better for the boy not to stray far from his grandmother. Otherwise, if he met the guards, he would not get rid of the problems. The boy agreed with his grandmother without any problems. The two of them were walking through the forest. The boy said that it may seem like an ordinary fog, but in fact it is concentrated magical energy. The boy asked his grandmother if she had not said that the power of the embodied elementals was running out. After all, in that case, if these elves were in their prime, how concentrated would the haze be then? Suddenly they heard cries for help. The grandmother asked her grandson about what was wrong. In response, the boy said that apparently someone needed help and asked his grandmother if she had heard the screams. The grandmother said that she had not heard anything and assumed that the boy had imagined it. The boy replied that he did not imagine it and he really heard screams. He also said that he could not ignore it and asked his grandmother to wait for him on the spot. The Empress shouted to Clay to come back, because there were guards everywhere in this place, but the boy did not listen to her. He was running towards the sound. The one who shouted for help said he couldn't breathe. The boy ran and thought that this sound is very similar to if someone tried to convey it with the power of thought, and if it were not for the high sensitivity of the boy to such things, then most likely he would not have heard it either. Suddenly the boy stopped, because he could not understand where they were calling for help. Suddenly he saw a big tall tree in front of him and realized that he had found the source of the scream. It was a little girl who got stuck in some viscous liquid. The boy saw the baby and asked her about how she got into such a situation. After that, the guy helped her. The boy's grandmother stood in the forest and called her grandson. Some voices in the forest said that this magic does not belong to the elemental elves, which means there was an invasion and an interventionist was flying. The guardians of the forest decided to get rid of him and attack him. The grandmother heard this and thought that they were not talking about her grandson. At this moment, the boy was communicating with the girl who he helped. She had wings. She cried and said that she thought I was going to die. Answer: this honey was just terrible. In response to this, the boy said that the girl was stupid, because it wasn't honey at all, but pine resin. In response to this, the girl got very angry and said that her name was Vela and she was an incarnate elemental and, by the way, very respected. The girl opened her book and said that it was strange that it says that mint has a yellow-orange color, but she thought it was not. Looking at this, the boy said that not only mint has such a color and asked the girl if she has ever tried it. In response to this, the girl said that she certainly tried honey, but she did not try exactly the one that people make. And the book says that it is the sweetest of all. She would really like to try it at least once. Then the boy took out a piece of honey from his pocket and said that his mother had given it to him. He handed it to the girl and said that now when she tasted real honey once, she would stop dragging everything into her mouth. The girl tasted honey. It turned out to be very tasty. She really liked it. She finished what the boy gave her and asked for more. The boy told the girl to eat for health, because he is not sorry. The girl also ate and said that it was very tasty and it was the best honey in the world. The boy said that his mother could make it much tastier, because there are a lot of different types of honey in the world of people. Suddenly, the girl felt the presence of the guards and warned the boy about it. One of the guards attacked Clay, but he quickly realized and pulled out a shield that repelled the attack. The guards began to shout that I was an interventionist in the forest. I needed to get rid of him, and he still dared to take the princess hostage. The guy thought that the power of the elves is very powerful, and apparently this is the power of the embodied elementals. The boy asked the guards to listen to him and said that he was not an interventionist. Also, the boy could not understand which princess they were talking about. In response, the guards said that the boy did not dare to lie to them and liars had no place on their territory. After that, they began to attack the boy with renewed vigor. In response to this, Clay said that they were forcing him to accept the force, and that then they should not blame him. The boy used the power of his shield and released a level 8 flame lion. At that moment, the girl Clay had saved shouted to the guards to stop, but they didn't listen to the girl and continued to attack Clay. At this time, Clay's grandmother was running through the woods and hoped that everything was fine with her grandchildren. In the end, she finally reached him and saw how the boy communicates with the guards and shares honey with them. The boy laughed and told the guards not to make such a fuss because everyone will get it. After that, the girl told one of the guards that it was incredibly delicious. He replied to her that it would be very cool if they could eat such delicious food every day, but unfortunately they rarely contact people. In response to this, the girl said that it was true, but then they just need to go to the world of people and there they will be able to eat enough. At that moment, the grandmother came up to her grandson and said that he scared her to death and she thought Clay was in danger. In response to this, the boy said that it really was quite dangerous, but fortunately Vela stopped the guards in time. The grandmother turned to Princess Vela and asked her why she was in the forest and whether the Empress knew about it. In response to this, the girl laughed and said that she had slipped out of the palace in order to play. She also said that her mom is quite strict with her older sister, but she is free as the wind. After that, Grandma said that since everything was fine, they needed to hurry up, since the Empress was still waiting for them. Also, the grandmother severely punished Clay so that he no longer dared to run away. The boy agreed and the three of them went to the palace. Walking through the forest, the boy thought that the magic of the embodied elementals was incredibly powerful, and even the shield of the 8th level did not stop them. It scared the boy. He remembered that when the Empress of the Incarnate Elementals offered him a contract with one of the elemental elves, he honestly did not attach any importance to it. But now he understands that it was a great opportunity. When the Empress and Clay arrived at the palace of the Incarnate Elementals, they greeted Her Majesty and gave her the blessing of the God of Sorcery. The Empress was very happy about this. She said it was God's mercy and now the elemental elves are saved. The Empress stood up and addressed Clay. She expressed sincere gratitude to the boy on behalf of all the elemental elves. The boy bowed and said that it was a great honor for him to be able to help them. The Empress said that according to the conditions put forward by her, 10,000 elemental elves would be loyal to the boy for 10 years. It was a spiritual oath. From that moment on, 10,000 elemental elves were at the disposal of the boy. In response to this, he said that he had one request. The boy reminded Her Majesty that once upon a time she had said that there would be an opportunity to sign a contract with one of the elemental elves. The boy asked the Empress if it was possible to do it now. The Empress replied that it was possible to do this, but before that she would very much like to see the boy at the ceremony of restoring the moon well, because it was he who found and returned the blessing of the God of Sorcery, and now he is a friend of the elemental elves. At that moment, Vela flew up to Clay and whispered to him that if she signed a contract with him, then in that case she would be able to go with him to the human world, so she asked the boy to choose her. The boy realized that the girl really liked honey and so she still has a sweet tooth, but she did not look like an outstanding warrior. In response to this, the girl said that Clay should not underestimate her if he does not choose her, then she will simply ignore the boy for the rest of her life. Clay laughed and said that threatening people was clearly not her thing. At this time, the Empress was looking at them and could not understand what was happening. The ceremony took place the next day. The Empress stood on a rock and took off her black cloak. The boy looked at the Empress and thought about how beautiful she was. The girl turned to the Almighty God of Sorcery. She asked him to bless them and give them joy. The energy from the artifact rushed into the sky. After that, the Empress announced that the moonbeams were filled again and the God of Sorcery was protecting them again. Everyone was very happy and blessed the Empress and the deity. Clay's grandmother even burst into tears, because now, after so many years, the population of elemental elves can be multiplied, and it was wonderful. The boy suddenly realized that it was all in order to increase the birth rate. After that, the Empress approached the boy and said that the most outstanding warriors among the elemental elves were in front. She told the boy to listen to his heart and choose which of them he wants to sign a contract with. The boy looked at them and thought that the Empress really did not lie to him, because the waves of magical energy that emanated from the elves were quite powerful. The boy said that the Empress told him to listen to his heart, but he didn't know what to do if it didn't respond now. In response, the Empress smiled and said that any elemental elf would be happy to sign a contract with him. Then the boy said that he was choosing Vela. The boy's grandmother was horrified and said that Vela was a member of the imperial family and an heiress. Therefore, she cannot conclude a contract with the boy. In response to this, Clay said that the Empress herself allowed him to choose whom he wished. Then the Empress asked her daughter what she thought about it. The girl was delighted and told her mom that she didn't mind at all and really wanted to go with Clay. The Empress thought that hundreds of years ago, it was Vela's birth that finally dried the moon well, and now the person who helped them revive it and gave them hope for a better future wants to take Vela away. The Empress thought that everything is God's will and perhaps this is the best outcome. She leaned over to the boy and said that he should promise her that he would be able to take good care of her daughter. In response to this, the boy said that he was ready to protect his comrades at the cost of his life and he would definitely take care of Vela. The Empress said that since they were both very eager to conclude a contract, she would make an exception. The Empress took a drop of her daughter's blood and brought it to the boy. She announced that from now on, Elemental Elf Princess Vela and Clay from the Dragon Blood family are bound by a contract, and the blood oath has been successfully concluded. The Empress and the boy returned to the palace with the help of the portal. Clay told the girl that he couldn't even think that she was a princess. He asked Vela if she was really ready to follow him, even if it meant that she would not be able to become an heiress. The girl replied that she had an older sister for this. She also said that she did not mind her sister inheriting her throne. She prefers sweets. The Moonwell tried so hard to produce another contender for the throne, but now she has left them. Vela said that even though no one had ever said a word, everyone blamed her for draining the Moonwell, which caused their entire race to be on the verge of extinction, and therefore it was a real torture to be there. The guy realized that the girl was not particularly worried, since there are two contenders for the throne. He also thought that as soon as the time came to inherit the throne, unfortunately, it probably wasn't without bloodshed. The boy also realized that his grandmother also understands this and everything seems so clear. At that moment, Vela yelled at the boy and told him not to turn up his nose, since she can do all the same things that her mother can do and can even neutralize the opponent's magic. The girl also added that from that day on, Clay's safety is in her hands. The boy replied that time would tell. Suddenly, a messenger came running to Her Majesty and said that Her Majesty the Princess had sent a scroll, and asked young Master Clay to return as soon as possible. At that moment, the boy remembered that his mother had talked about a reception in honor of the return, and it completely slipped his mind. The boy said that using 5th level magic just to send a flower with a request to arrive at the gala dinner as soon as possible was not exactly like his mother. In response to this, the Empress said that in this case it was better for Clay to return as soon as possible, because it must be something urgent. However, she told her grandson not to forget to visit her. The boy thought that maybe something serious had happened. At this time, in Stormwind, in the house of the Dragon's Blood family, a ball was held in honor of a gala dinner. Clay used the portal again to return home. The boy saw that his palace was very lively, and apparently they were worried in vain, because it doesn't look like something is wrong. The boy was about to enter the hall when suddenly the guards stopped him. They asked the boy about who he was and said that people are not allowed to enter without an invitation and accompanied by dogs. The guards again thought that Pippi was a dog. Then the boy told the guards that this was his house. However, he wondered what the royal guards were doing at their family's reception, and why the royal family was also present. Suddenly, the boy's mother came running and told the guards to lower their weapons, because this is her son. The guard bowed and asked for forgiveness from Lady Elijah. He said that they had not had the opportunity to see young Master for a long time and therefore simply did not recognize him. However, young Master's pets would need to be left outside for the sake of His Majesty's safety. The boy approached his mother and asked about why the royal family was here. In response to this, Elijah said that this is the Shisin family. They secretly contacted the Academy of Magic and today announced that from now on the Academy of Alchemy is in no way connected with the Academy of Magic. Then the boy asked his mother about what was the matter and what it changed. Mom said that now the boy must pass the test in order to enter the Academy of Magic. The girl also added that in order to successfully pass this test, at least 4th level magic is needed. But because of this seal, the boy's magic still cannot cross this border, and so the doors will only be opened to him to the Academy of Alchemy. The boy was indignant at this. He said that he came back to study magic, and they want to teach him alchemy. The boy also said that he was more than capable of being a teacher himself, and they wouldn't let him take a step. In response to this, the boy's mother said that they were careless, and if they had realized what was happening earlier, everything would have turned out differently. But now they simply have no choice. The Shixing family invited the king precisely so that he would smooth over the situation, and thus they simply cornered them. An angry Clay said that this old man was playing dishonestly and dirty and told Vela to get ready for a fight. The girl happily got ready. Going into the hall, the boy thought that most likely this is just the beginning and he has yet to find out what surprises this family has prepared for him. When the boy entered the hall, the king was very happy about it. He said that their little genius had returned and they hadn't seen each other for so long that he wanted to take a closer look at him. The boy bowed and thanked His Majesty for his hospitality. The king replied that the boy was becoming more and more courageous and was really behaving with dignity for the heir of the dragon blood family. The king also said that the boy tried very hard in the Elven Valley and he is sure that after entering the Academy of Alchemy, he will conquer everyone with his knowledge. Then the boy said that he wanted to enter the Academy of Magic. At that moment, a representative of the Shixing family intervened and said that the boy's soul was sealed. And to enter the Magic Academy, it is necessary to possess magic of the 4th level, and the boy cannot do this. Clay said it was very arrogant, just level 4 magic. He turned to the Archbishop and said that he should not worry so much, because the boy already owns even more advanced magic. In response, the man shouted that the boy was lying. When Clay said that they could verify this personally and he only needed to find a level 4 magician in order for them to fight, and His Majesty would be a witness. Then Archbishop Shixing agreed and said that the boy's opponent would be a prince, because he owns the 4th level magic and is capable enough to enter the Academy of Magic. Also, the man forbade the boy to use all sorts of alchemical tricks. Clay asked Prince Loza to escort him to the arena, because they would need a lot of space. In response to this, the principal said that without the use of alchemy, the boy simply cannot defeat him, and the prince will destroy him, so Clay can already run back to his mother. In response to this, the boy asked the prince about how his early and in order or his head. He said it was only level 3 magic and asked the prince to be careful in the arena. Koroi came to the arena and announced that this duel would determine whether young Master Clay from the Dragon Blood family was worthy of becoming a student of the Academy of Magic. He also said that the use of weapons or scrolls is not allowed during the battle. The prince said that Clay used to always catch him off guard, but now that he has a magic barrier, Clay can't beat him. In response, the boy asked the prince if it was a confession that it was he who set those soldiers outside the city on him. In response to this, the prince laughed and said that in the next life, perhaps the boy would find out the answer to this question. After that, the fight began. The prince once again attacked Clay and said that without his scrolls, he was just an insignificant insect. The prince was using ice magic, while Clay was just trying to dodge the blows. The boy's mother was watching all this, and at the moment when the prince struck a strong blow, Elijah shouted the name of her son, as she was very worried about Clay. Archbishop Shixin laughed and thought that even if this ice did not kill the boy, it would definitely seriously injure him. However, Clay brought this on himself and no one asked him to show off. The prince told the boy that he was just trash. Then Clay asked the prince if it was too early for him to be happy and said that he was a real idiot if he thought that these childish amusements could somehow harm him. After these words, the boy attacked the prince in response. The prince could not understand what it was. Then the boy replied that, apparently, the princess and there is still a lot to learn and Clay will allow him to see what the magic of the 5th level is. The princess's parents couldn't see anything because Clay was using the magic of Svi. One of the courtiers suggested that the boy had somehow managed to break the seal. Archbishop Shixing was shocked that the boy was using 5th level magic. I can't understand how he managed to break the seal. The prince asked Clay about what kind of magic it was. The boy said that if he attacked, the prince's elemental shield would just throw him back. Clay said he wasn't that stupid. The boy turned to Vela and said that now, while no one is watching, she should share her sealing magic with him. The girl realized that since the boy's magic level is lower, he decided to seal the prince's abilities. Vela noted that this is a very smart move. She also said that according to their level of magic, this spell would last about 5 minutes, and its radius of effect would be no more than 3 meters. Clay said that would be enough. Then the girl called the elemental elf contractor and asked him to accept the blessing of the deity. The prince told Clay not to even try to joke with him and attacked him with an ice dance. Large chunks of ice flew towards the guy, but the boy put up a shining shield and blocked the attack. Thus, Clay blocked the prince's attack and everyone around him concluded that the boy had 4th level magic. One of the observers asked if this meant that the boy's powers were equal. Another replied that he thought Clay was bluffing, and it turned out to be true. The boy's mother turned to Archbishop Shixin and said that since Clay managed to block the attack with level 4 magic, it means that he passed the test. But in response to this, the man said that it still does not mean anything. The man got angry and thought that it was just a coincidence, because his seal should work properly. He also thought that he should take advantage of the fact that the boy could not use the alchemy scrolls and kill him, because he could not be allowed to enter the magic academy. The man remembered that they were in the sacred arena, and in the arena there is always a winner, and a loser. The knights of their kingdom never lose. At that moment, the prince, in a rage, asked Clay if he had really blocked his attack. Then the boy asked the prince if he really thought that all this time he had studied only alchemy. The boy told the prince that he could admit defeat now. In fact, Clay remembered that Vela's spell only lasts 5 minutes. In response to this, the prince said that Clay was very arrogant and some kind of trash whose magic was sealed did not deserve to study next to him. After that, the prince created ice swords in his hands and ran at the boy to attack him. But Clay blocked his kick again. The boy realized that if this continues, the magic will dissipate and everyone present will guess everything, so he urgently needs to come up with something. Then the prince attacked the boy again and told him to defend himself, because now they will find out if he can repel this attack. Clay smiled and thought that this was exactly what he needed. Clay used his magic again and the balls in the prince's hands melted. Then the boy ran at the prince and he, thinking that the boy had finally changed to attack him, said that he would smear him. The prince used his magic, but it didn't work out and he couldn't figure out why. Then Clay grabbed the prince by the hand, came closer to him and said that the prince could not use his magic. Clay is able to restrain the abilities of his opponent, since he owns the magic of the 5th level. The prince said that he had never heard anything like this about being able to restrain magic. In response to this, Clay said that it was never too late to find out about it and now he would show the prince his true strength. In fact, the boy was thinking that the magic of Vela made an ordinary person out of the prince, and even the magic of the boy at the 3rd level will feel like something murderous for the prince. And since he is one of the heirs, he cannot kill him, otherwise the royal family will at least hold a grudge against the boy's family. Then Clay attacked the prince again, creating some kind of creature. It was a large Venus flycatcher that swallowed the prince. The father of the Shixin family immediately began to worry about his son. Then the archbishop told Clay that he dared to kill the prince, which means a challenge to the royal family. The man ordered the arrest of the boy. In response to this, Clay said that this is a sacred arena, and there should be one winner, and these are words that belong to the archbishop himself. The boy also added that technically the test should have been completed the minute he blocked the prince's attack. Well, since the archbishop himself said something like that, then Clay decided to do so. The man interrupted him and said that even though Clay was a worthy place in the Academy of Magic, it didn't matter, since the boy would have to pay with his life for killing the prince. The boy asked the archbishop if he recognized that Clay had passed the test and could enter the Academy of Magic. As soon as the boy realized that this was true, he ordered his plant to release the prince and said that it would still not be able to digest a 4th level magician. Then the plant opened its mouth and spat out the prince. The guards said that the prince was unharmed and he just fainted. Then His Majesty was delighted and told him to take the prince to his chambers as soon as possible and release Clay. Clay bowed to His Majesty and said that the Dragon Blood family is infinitely loyal to him and he would never dare to harm the prince. He also added that Archbishop Shixin had just recognized Clay's powers. The boy asked His Majesty if he could enter the Academy of Magic. Then the Emperor turned to Archbishop Shixin and asked him if he had any objections. The man did not want to answer His Majesty that he had no objections. After that, he approached the boy and congratulated Clay from the Dragon's Blood family for having successfully passed the 4th level magic test and could become a student of the Magi Academy. However, the man added that the boy should not rejoice ahead of time. Screams could be heard from the royal palace in Stormwind. It was the prince. He was in a lot of pain and he was sick. The boy shouted that it was all because of the magic that Clay had set on him. The boy said that he was unbearably ill. The boy's mother cried and said that it was a nightmare that his poor child was completely exhausted by Clay and said that the boy was a real barbarian. The girl turned to His Majesty and asked him about it. It seems to him that this time the dragon blood family has gone too far, because it will affect the reputation of the Shixing family. Then the queen asked Princess Shixing what she meant. The princess's statements angered the queen, and she said that it was their family that provoked the fight, and now they are just trying to blame all the blame on the dragon blood family, and it was obvious. The queen also said that Clay did not harm the prince because there is not a single scratch on him, and the boy has shown enough mercy. He told his wife not to get so angry and began to escort her out of the hall. He also said that they would not bring up this topic anymore and would go to rest. The king said that with such talents, Clay would surely achieve great success at the Academy of Magic, and he would undoubtedly glorify the whole family and the whole of Stormwind. After the door closed behind the king, the princess turned to her brother the archbishop and asked him if they would really leave it all like that. Is the Shixing family going to bend under the dragon's blood family? In response to this, the man said that this would not happen for anything. He also added that His Majesty does not want to deal with Clay because of his high position in society, but this does not mean that he forbids others to do it. The man asked his sister if she really thought he would listen to the dragon's blood family. The man said that this time he would take care of the boy personally and he would not have a chance. After that, he turned to the prince and said that his status also obliges him to make more efforts. The boy was angry and said that Clay could use magic and alchemical scrolls of the 5th level. And he even removed all their guards of the 4th level, and now his whole lousy family is still behind him and they will not be able to get close to him in any way. The guy said that if I had his guardian, he was afraid that he would have been dead even then. The prince was very angry with Clay and decided that he wasn't done with him yet. In this case, the man decided that he needed to leave Clay alone. He created a scroll and ordered the princess to immediately send this letter to the dwarf and ask them for the death of the dragon. The man also added that the dwarves do not dare to refuse the Prince of Stormwind, and thus with this treasure the man will deal with this child once and for all. The prince took the scroll in his hands and was very happy about this coincidence. Finally, the man said that the territory of the Academy of Magic is under his jurisdiction, and therefore Clay will not leave alive. The next day there was a lesson at the Magic Academy in Stormwind. The teacher was standing at the blackboard and was going to talk about methods of controlling magic. However, she saw that Clay was sleeping and it made her angry. She screamed with all her might and the boy woke up. He decided that something had happened and monsters were attacking, but all the classmates were laughing at him. The teacher was very angry and said that if monsters attack, it's only in the boy's dreams. She demanded from Clay that he immediately tell her what magic control is, and if he has at least one inaccuracy, he will clean out the cages of magical animals as punishment. Then the boy was scared and said that he would tell everything now. Then he said that magic control is the ability to rely on one's own spiritual power and use it to control magical fluctuations. After that, the bell from the lesson rang. The joyful boy ran out of the office and told Xenia and Pippi that lessons were over and another carefree school day had come to an end. The boy thanked the guys for coming to the rescue and said that if they had not helped him, he would have had to stay after school. In response to this, the girl said that the boy should be more attentive in class because not everyone gets a chance to study at the Academy of Magic. The boy realized that the girl was angry. He told her that he did not take all these classes seriously only because he had already studied all this in the Valley of the Elves. He also told the girl not to worry because she, too, will soon be able to enter the Academy of Magic. The boy thought that he wanted to enter the academy so much only because he thought that it could somehow help him in the matter of removing the sealing magic. However, the fact that the academy taught mostly only the basics of the basics depressed him. The boy saw Archbishop Shixing and wondered where he was in such a hurry. The girl replied that she seemed to have heard something when she and the bear entered the academy. Apparently, something unusual was found outside the city. Archbishop Shixing put a seal in order to smooth out the magical fluctuations, but apparently the seal was broken. The boy thought about the fact that Archbishop Shixing's seal was broken, so it must be something special. This interested the guy very much, as it could be very useful for him. The boy said he wasn't going home yet and asked Pippi to send Xenia back. The girl was angry that the boy left so quickly, because she also wanted to go with him, but Pippi said that it was impossible, because they were ordered to go home. Then the girl began to cry and beg Pippi to take her with them. Clay got to that very place. One of the guards told the other that the Archbishop had just strengthened the seal, so we need to be careful. The boy was hiding behind a stone at that moment when the guards were distracted. The boy penetrated through the barrier. He thought that this is a very powerful printing magic and he literally feels its effects on himself. Well, something about it confused him. The boy thought that he did not feel any vibrations from the earth, so the magic could not affect it for too long. respectively. The treasure he was talking about was here for a relatively short time, as if someone had framed it all. The guy decided that since he was there, he would see what kind of place it was. Suddenly, the guy saw a huge dragon in front of him. The boy thought that if he was not mistaken, then this dragon is 10 times bigger than Tina. A blade was inserted between the eyes of this dragon. The boy reached him and took the blade in his hands. He realized that this was a 9th level northern blade, and no one could even think that it seemed in such a place, because such a thing is quite difficult to find in the realm of the immortals. An ordinary person cannot control such an artifact, in which case it turns out that Archbishop Shixin could not seal it. What are you doing wrong here? Suddenly the guards arrived and saw that someone was on the dragon. They decided that someone dared to make an attempt on the death of the dragon. The boy said that everything was wrong. He showed his badge and said that he was a student of the Magic Academy, and that he had accidentally wandered into this place and was about to leave. However, the guards did not believe him and said that the boy was just a petty thief, and they were ordered to guard the territory and immediately deal with anyone who dared to enter it without permission. The boy realized that Shixin must be behind all this. The knights began to attack the boy. The prince and the archbishop watched all this from afar. Loza couldn't understand why it was necessary to send only specialists of the 5th rank just to deal with some garbage, and even magicians of the 6th rank. In response to this, the man said that the boy did not understand anything, because all their previous attempts failed because they underestimated the enemy. The man also added that if they killed him for no obvious reason, the Dragon Blood family would be angry at them. But if he is attacked for trespassing on the sealed territory and trying to steal the treasure of the dwarves, then this is a completely different matter. So the blame for what happened can be pushed to the dwarves. The man told the prince that there was nothing else for them to do here and they should go back to the city and wait for wonderful news. At this time, the boy was trying to evade attacks from all sides, and so far he was doing well. However, his strength was almost running out and he kept hoping that it would end soon. One of the magicians said that the archbishop was right, because this child relies on magic scrolls. He ordered the others to stop him from leaving and destroy him. The boy thought that this time Shixin really tried, because he hired knights and magicians who would line up their attacks in such a way as to literally not give the boy a break. A rank 9 magical beast suddenly appeared. It was Pippi, and with him came Xenia. The boy was very surprised and asked the girl about how she got here. In response to this, she said that if she had not come, the boy would not have been well. Then Clay said that the girl did not obey him at all and would be punished for it. While they were arguing, the boy did not notice that an arrow would fly at him. But the girl saw it and saved her brother. She took the blow on herself and an arrow hit her shoulder. At that moment, the magicians were able to capture Pippi. Clay couldn't figure out what to do. The boy was crying and could not understand why everyone was trying to take away people dear to him from time to time. The boy got angry and said that he would make everyone answer for it. Thus, he managed to pull the blade out of the dragon. The boy began to attack all the guards holding his new weapon in his hands. When the magicians saw that the boy could use this artifact, they also decided that they needed to leave because it was dangerous. However, one of the magicians said that Archbishop Shixin would not like it and they should kill the boy. In response to this, Clay said that no one could escape since they were all murderers. The boy had used the sword for such a short period of time, and yet his spiritual strength was already running out. It was all because of the seal. The boy remembered his younger sister and ran to her. The girl's soul has already begun to dissipate if this process is not stopped. Then the boy will not be able to save her. At that moment, a bear ran up to the children and told them to get on his back as soon as possible and he would pull them out of this place. But the boy said that he was afraid that Xenia would not survive the trip in such a state. Clay ordered Pippi to come back soon and inform his parents about everything. He also added that some of the attackers escaped if they bring reinforcements, then Clay is definitely finished. Pippi was very scared for his loved ones and promised to return as soon as possible. Then the magicians surrounded the boy and asked him if he had really used all his scrolls and even allowed that beast to escape. The magicians were sure that the boy could not defeat them in such a state. Then Clay said that the bear is the only one who can help him, because the boy has a trump card up his sleeve. Then Clay touched the blue petal and told the dragon who had signed a contract with him to hear his call and come as soon as possible. Tina heard the boy's call and set out on her way. However, the highways laughed at Clay because they did not believe that some dragon would come and save him now. At that moment, Tina appeared and said that the dragons of the city are noble creatures and no one can imagine that they can control one of them. Tina ordered me to surrender. At that moment, the boy turned to the dragon and said that these people had wounded him and his sister and asked Tina for help in order to deal with them. Tina got very angry and growled very loudly. The magicians were afraid that a real dragon had appeared and began to run away. However, Tina wouldn't let them do that. Tina asked Clay if his sister had died. In response to this, the boy said that now he has sealed the girl's soul in this body, and she is not dead yet, but he cannot help her. Then the boy asked Tina if she knew someone who could bring the girl back to life. In response to this, the beast said that she thinks that only the dragon grass of immortality can help here. Clay immediately perked up and said he had to find her as soon as possible. Tina said that many years ago, one person was near death and used the herb of immortality. Then not only did all his vitality return to him, but he also became the first person in history who could use magic of the 13th level. The boy was surprised by what Tina said, because he thought that the 12th level is a chapel for a person. In response to this, the girl said that the boy was right and it was exactly what upset the balance of power in the world. So since then the dragon clan decided not to give this plant to anyone. Clay replied that he would do anything for his sister, no matter what it cost him. Then Tina said that currently there is only one way to get an immortality injury. Whoever wants to get her must help the dragon clan from searching for the long-missing dragon emperor. The boy was surprised that dragons have an emperor. Tina said that no one had seen him for several thousand years. Their clan tried hard to find at least some clues, but it was all in vain. The body of the dragon emperor is dozens of times larger than that of an ordinary dragon. The girl could not understand where such a person could be hidden. Then the boy pointed to the skeleton of a dragon, but with which he stood, because this dragon was just 10 times larger. It was only at this moment that Tina noticed that she was really standing next to the skeleton of the dragon emperor, and she could not understand how he ended up in this place. In response to this, the boy said that it was no wonder that their clan could not find the body for so long, because the dwarves had been hiding it so diligently all this time. The boy climbed on the dragon with his sister and said that now the dragon clan should give him the herb of immortality. The boy asked Christina if she would take them to her clan. However, at that moment Tina heard a sound and could not understand where it was coming from. After that, she felt the rich smell of blood and did not understand who was fighting with whom at all. The boy realized that on the one hand it was reinforcements from the archbishop, and on the other it was his grandfather. The army of the boy's grandfather ran to meet the army of the Shixing family. Grandfather ordered to kill everyone and leave no stone unturned. Grandpa said that the Shixing family had dared to encroach on the life of a member of the dragon blood family, and it was time to show them who they were messing with. The boy's father turned to his grandfather and said that the knights were only following the orders of the Shixing family, but at the same time they were part of the secret of the imperial organization. The guy asked his father if they should use such cardinal methods. In response, the grandfather said that he didn't care who they were or what they were, because anyone who dared to touch his grandson with a finger would be destroyed. After that, the barrier was broken, and the guy ran to his son to help. Archbishop Shisen ran up to his grandfather and began shouting at him. He said that Grandpa didn't have the right to kill all the knights of the imperial organization and breach his protective dome. The man said that in this way they were going to declare war on the king himself. Then the grandfather struck the archbishop and told him to wipe that smug face from his face. He also said that the archbishop's words would not shake the loyalty of his family to the king. In response to this, the archbishop said that he hoped that the grandfather and the face of his majesty would also be able to be as brave. In response to this, Grandpa said that they could try to figure it out without using brute force. However, if at least one hair falls from Clay's head, he will row the whole Shixin family alive. At this time, the boy and his younger sister were flying on a dragon. Tina said that they were already close, but warned the boy that he should choose expressions when communicating with the elder, because his magicians could not withstand an ordinary person. In response, the boy thanked the beast and said that he would definitely listen to her advice, because he is ready to do anything to save his younger sister. After that, the dragon landed on the island. One of the dragon guards addressed Christina by name and said that they had not seen each other for a long time. He also said that he saw 2 bugs on the dragon's body and asked her if she wanted him to catch them for her. In response, Christina said that these are her friends and no one dares to harm them. Then the dragon said that if Christina overcomes him, then he will miss them. However, at that moment, some other dragon told the vizier to stop immediately and let Christina in right away. Bessie turned around and said that Christina was lucky that Scabbit intervened. He told Christina to follow him so that he would accompany her. At this time, the boy was very scared of the power of the dragons. His soul seemed to tremble before such power, and this power was enough to tear a person to pieces. After that, Christina approached the dragon, which was several times larger than her. Dragon Po greeted the boy. He introduced himself as an elder of the dragon clan named Scabbit. The elder said that Christina had told him that the boy had managed to find the remains of the Dragon Emperor. Scabbard asked the boy if this was really the case. Then the boy turned to the respected elder and said that he had really found the Dragon Emperor and would like to return him to their clan. But he had one more small request. Scabbard told Clay to continue. The boy said that he would like to get the Herb of Immortality. The elder was outraged by this and said that the boy was either too brave or too stupid. The dragon got very angry and began to growl. He called the boy a stupid, greedy little man. Christina told the boy to take back his words, otherwise it would all tear him apart. Then the boy said that he would not take back his words because he needed the Herb of Immortality, despite the fact that the dragon was strong. The boy understood that he could not retreat. Then the dragon stopped. He asked the boy if he was really willing to sacrifice his life for this. He also asked the boy about how much he longs to get the power that is hidden in this plant. Then Clay replied to Mr. Scabbard that he was not interested in strength, because he needed death herbs in order to save his sister, and everything was not as the elder might have thought. In response to this, Scabbard said that he likes people who have no selfish thoughts. He said he would give the boy the Herb of Immortality, but first he had to show him the Dragon Emperor. In response to this, the boy said that he would not do it until he received the Herb of Immortality. He also added that Christina saw the skeleton with her own eyes and can confirm this. Clay asked Mr. Scabbard about how he could trust him. In response, the elder remained silent. The boy said that as soon as he gets the Immortality Herb to heal his sister, he will immediately give the elder what he wants. Otherwise, he will destroy the skeleton of the Dragon Emperor. In response to this, the elder said that the boy is quite reckless. However, he must admit that Clay's threats have a certain influence. The dragon told the boy to wait outside and he would bring the grass without death in order to save his sister. The elder also added that if the boy dares to deceive him or damage the bones of the Dragon Emperor, he swears that he will destroy their souls with his own hands. The boy was looking forward to the return of the dragon and his younger sister. He couldn't understand why it took so long and hoped that Xenia would be alright. Suddenly the boy heard his sister calling him. He turned around and saw her alive and well. The girl ran at the boy and hugged him. Clay asked his sister if everything was fine with her, and if she definitely didn't have any pain. The girl replied that the Herb of Immortality just works wonders, and it was as if she was born again. Moreover, she felt an incredible surge of strength, and her body seemed to be overflowing with mana. The girl said that she would now show her brother what she meant. Xenia threw her arms into the sky and created a shield. The boy was surprised by this because it was high-level magic and he had never seen such magic circles. Then an elder came and said that the Herb of Immortality is a bunch of energy of the Dragon Emperor. By absorbing her, the girl not only took part of his power but also inherited his wisdom. Thus, very soon the light will see a new personality. After that, the elder said that he had fulfilled Clay's conditions and now the boy must fulfill his promise. In response to this, he said that the skeleton of the Dragon Emperor is in his spatial ring. The dragon was surprised that the boy was hiding him there at that time and said that it was quite reasonable. The elders told the boy to follow him to the dragon tomb because it was time for the emperor to rest. The boy told his younger sister to stay where she was and he would be back soon. After that, the boy entered the cave, and the dragon took the form of a man and turned out to be a handsome man. The boy was surprised at this because he did not know that the dragons were capable of such a thing. There was a large seal on the wall in front of the cave entrance. The elder turned to the boy and told him to take his hand, since the magical pressure in the dragon tomb is not something that an ordinary person can survive, and without his magical protection, the boy will be dead at the same moment as soon as he enters the tomb territory. The boy understood and took the elder by the hand. After that, they entered the portal and found themselves in the dragon tomb, which was another dimension. There were a lot of dragons that had already arrived in it. The boy realized that the power emanating from these dragons is comparable to that of an elder, and it must be that these are also elders who came to this place in order to honor the memory of the Dragon Emperor. After that, the dragon also took human form. Suddenly, the boy saw a flower that was hidden behind the dome. The boy realized that these are the Islands of Immortality and it grows in this place. The elder ordered Clay to show the Dragon Emperor. Clay took the skeleton out of his ring and threw it into the tomb. After that, all the elders growled. The boy realized that, apparently, this is how the grief of the dragon sounds, and he could really feel the feelings of grief and sorrow overflowing them. After that, the elder turned to the boy and said that the dragon clan thanked him. He also thanked the boy for returning the Dragon Emperor to them, and now his soul will be able to find peace. After that, the boy turned to Mr. Scabbard and asked him if he could take the liberty of asking him to let him take more immortality herbs. The boy said that his magic was sealed and he thinks that the herb could help him get rid of the seal. In response, the dragon said that he could only let the boy do this if he had something as valuable as the bones of the dragon emperor, or he could try to get it himself. But the elder reminded that as soon as the boy steps over the magic barrier, he will meet the goddess of death, and even the elder can only take a limited amount. The boy was delighted and said that he should definitely try. After that, clay broke out of the protective barrier that the elder had made. One of the dragons told Scabbit that this greedy boy would die. The elder replied that he was not doing it out of greed, and moreover he himself allowed him to try it. The man also added that if the boy manages to collect the herb of immortality, he will not let him die. The boy was flying towards the flower. The angry souls of the dead dragons had the same abilities as they had during their lifetime, but their spiritual bodies were quite fragile. The boy decided that he would be able to restrain them by using the necessary elements, and so he would gain time and collect the herb of immortality. At that moment, the boy was attacked by a fire dragon, and he decided that this was a great opportunity to use one of his pills. The boy chewed it and was able to create a water barrier around himself. The dragons who watched this wondered what the boy ate all after that he managed to create a very powerful water magic. Another dragon said that Clay had created a water barrier, and the other dragons couldn't attack the boy because of the fire dragon. The elders recognized that the boy is smart. Finally, Clay got to the flower and decided that he needed to hurry up. Otherwise he would be attacked by other dragons and everything would be over. It was at that moment when the boy plucked the flower that other dragons began to fall out on him again. But at that moment Mr. Scabbit appeared next to him and repelled the attack. The boy was very glad that the elder came to his aid, because if he had not done so, the boy would already be dead. Scabbit told the boy that he also did it because he was extremely curious about what exactly the boy had just eaten and what allowed him to create such strong magic. In response, the boy showed the elder a small bottle and said that these were elixirs of his production, which allowed him to temporarily strengthen the magic of a certain element. Clay also said that he currently has the elixir of fire and earth water, however, for other times is for the dragon clan. These elixirs have a permanent effect and other elders can ask Christina about it, because the boy treated her with a water element pill. The other elders were very happy when they heard this. The boy realized that everything was written on their faces about how they wanted to get these pills. Even Elder Scabbit perked up and asked the boy if he still had elixirs, since so many of the dragons are unable to develop further, since they have already reached their limits. In response to this, the boy said that in fact these elixirs are not so easy to make and he made them to order, and if he just gives them to the dragon, then he will have to pay a huge penalty. However, the boy said that he could exchange them for something valuable, and the one who offered the highest price would get them. A queue of other dragons lined up for Tina. Tina asked everyone to go through one by one and register the prices they were willing to offer, while he wrote them down in a book. She also asked to clarify the elixir of which element they need, and reminded that the quantity is limited, and the final price will depend on it. After that, Christina was tired, sighed, and thought that she couldn't wait for it all to end. Some time passed and Christina came up to the boy and said that the calculations were over. She asked him about why she should do it. She also added that the boy does not even imagine how hard it is for her to restrain herself in front of so many treasures. At this time, the boy was sitting at a table with the elder and the island guard. They merrily chatted and laughed. One of the dragons told Christina that this was a great opportunity to train her endurance and she should be grateful. After that, Christina just fell wearily to the floor. She thought about how they help her as they please just because of their status. And Clay is also good. In just a couple of days all these avid conservatives were under his heel. At that moment, the boy turned to Mr. Scabbit and said that since Tina had already finished the calculations, then the auction could begin. The boy also thanked the elder for his hospitality and kindness, but reminded them that, however, they already need to return home. One of the dragons was surprised that the boy was about to leave. At that moment, the elder stood up and said that it was he who should thank the boy for returning the remains of the dragon emperor to them. And before the boy and his sister left, he would like to give him a gift on behalf of their clan. The man offered the boy a spatial ring that can accommodate an entire state, as well as the horn of a white dragon. The elder said that with this horn, the boy could count on the help of the dragon clan at any time. In addition, he added that this lesson makes a sound that will scare away even a rank 9 monster, and all the power of the white dragon is concentrated in this horn. The man also added that he was looking forward to the day when the boy would be strong enough to unleash the full potential of the horn, as well as use the praise of light. Praising the light is a kind of white magic that can only be used by pure-hearted priests. This ability doubles the strength and speed of the user using it, allows you to perform unlimited physical strength. However, what is much more likely is that the person who uses this lesson can heal himself. Even being on the verge of death, you can get back to normal in a matter of moments. This is what is really important on the battlefield. With the help of the horn, it is really possible to create a glorification of light. On this continent, only a few could boast of such an artifact. At that moment, the elders turned to the boy again and said that he sees in him two of the most valuable qualities, honesty and kindness. For this reason, as soon as the boy becomes stronger, he will be able to use this horn without any problems. The man also added that as soon as he dealt with all the cases, he would ask Tina to take them back. The man said that he does not like to say goodbye, so let her do it. Clay thanked Scabbit. When they were returning back, Christina said that the boy had received a lot of money and had a very good trip to Dragon Island. In response to this, Clay said that Christina should not be sad because she had done a very good job and therefore the boy left 2 bottles for her. As soon as Christina heard this, she was very happy and said that she knew that the boy was the best. Suddenly Xenia looked at Stormwind from the height of dragon flight and asked the boy if there was a war going on in the city. The boy looked at the city and said that indeed, apparently, these are the armies of the Dragon Blood and Shixing families. The king stood between them and asked everyone to calm down and talk. In response, the guy told His Majesty that the Shixing family killed Clay and Xenia, and they should answer for it. Suddenly, everyone looked up into the sky and saw a huge dragon, and Mr. Clay and Miss Xenia were on it. The dragon landed and everyone ran away in fright in different directions. Christina growled and said that she was a friend of Clay Longsu, and she would not spare anyone who dared to go against his family. In response, the knights of the Shixing family said they wouldn't dare. The king was shocked that some child could control a dragon. Dar hugged his children and Xenia asked him about what was going on. In response, the man said that he was very glad that Clay was okay because he thought they had killed him and was going to avenge him. After that, the king approached the boy and said that he had arrived just in time, otherwise Stormwind would have turned into a bloodbath. The boy apologized to the king and said that he did not think that he could come to this. He also said that he and Xenia had indeed been attacked by the Shixing family, and the boy was in a hurry to take his younger sister to Dragon Island, so she did not have time to inform the family. After these words, the king turned to Archbishop Shixin and asked him what he could say about this. The man said that the boy was the first to enter the area of the barrier, and there was a terrible misunderstanding. Moreover, the boy was alive. After that, the man came closer to His Majesty and said in a whisper that he should not be his target, since the Dragon Blood family has the support of the Elf clan, and now Clay has also managed to enlist the support of the Dragon clan. He also added that His Majesty had better take care of this if he wants to maintain his position in the state. After that, the king turned to Dar and said that this was a terrible misunderstanding, but they could not arrange a massacre here. Then the man said that he could not disobey His Majesty's order, so he would withdraw the troops. However, they would not leave it like that. The king said he agreed with the man because their little Clay was incredibly scared this time. The boy was uncomfortable with the fact that the king looked at him like that, because they were not in a close relationship. The king told the boy that as compensation he decided to reward him with a defense reading and also allocate land in the province of Borak. The boy was very surprised by this. The king asked Clay if he did not agree, because these lands are located next to the lands of the elves and he thinks that the boy should like it there. In response to this, Clay smiled and said that he agreed and thanked His Majesty. After that, the king announced that Clay is the only native of Stormwind who received the title at such a young age. The boy's father thanked the king, but it didn't look like he was happy. The boy realized that his dad had such a look, as if he shouldn't have done it. In the dead of night, a scandal broke out in the estate of the Dragon Blood family. Ilya was shocked by the news that her son was going to the province of Borak. She shouted at her husband that the king was scared that Clay had enlisted the support of the Dragon clan, and it was obvious. She asked her husband about how he could allow Clay to accept such an offer. In response to this, the man said that it was not fair, because the boy made the decision himself and he had no right to object, especially in front of the king. Xenia asked her brother about why mom was so angry because she thought it was not bad that the boy took the title. Clay replied that the problem was that the king granted him the lands of the province of Borak. The boy managed to find out that this is a fairly vast territory with fertile lands, but most of it is occupied by an elven forest, which is teeming with magical and other creatures. Xenia said that it turns out it's not the king's salary at all, and he just wants to send the boy away. Elijah said that all the nobles who had been sent there in recent years either returned crippled, or did not return at all, and her son could not go there. Dar tried to calm his wife and asked her not to cry, because he had already thought about it and decided that they would just say that the boy still needed to attend the academy, and why tactfully refuse this gift. At that moment, Dar's father appeared in the room, who was very angry. He started shouting at the man that he had heard that the king had sent Clay to Borak and had done nothing about it. In response to this, the man said that it would be much more difficult for him to deal with this if his father chopped him into pieces now. Then the boy hugged his grandfather and said that his dad was not to blame, because it was his choice. Then the grandfather turned to his grandson and said that he had acted stupidly and asked him if he did not know what this place was. Clay replied that it was because he knew he wanted to go to this place. He told his grandfather that the Magic Academy was not the place he imagined, so the only right decision would be to go to Borak and learn from his own experience. Grandpa didn't believe the boy's words, but Clay continued and said that Borak is the most suitable place for training and the land there is very fertile. The boy also added that he has personal protection, so he will be fine. Clay thought that the king just wanted to send him to certain death, but he unknowingly gave him an incredible opportunity. But since he had made such a decision, the boy could not disappoint him.